Hey, welcome back. Simon Lears here again. I've got a pro guitar tip for you today. What I'm going to talk about is sometimes you get stuck in a rut. When you're jamming along to backing tracks, your fingers tend to follow tried and tested patterns that you just know where you're going, and there's no danger of making a mistake because you know the notes that are going to fit and all the rest of it. So you think, well, what's the problem? But sometimes you might find yourself playing the same things over and over and over again, and what can you do to get out of that? So I'm just going to try and give you a couple of ideas to that effect. Now, I've got a backing track. This is one I've had for many years, and it's in C minor. Let's just get it started. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and restrict myself to 3 notes. So you see what I mean? It's okay. It's pretty bland. It's pretty basic, but if you're really strict with yourself and you try and not to allow yourself to play any notes other than those 3. Notice I was on the G string. The G string covers kind of vocal ranges, if you like. It's usually a nice smooth sounding string. The thinner strings tend to be a bit scratchy, or they can be a bit scratchy sometimes, So I was trying to sort of think, what can I do to make those 3 notes fit the backing track? I can change the timing to sort of try and make them interesting, I didn't try that. So, yeah. So yeah, there's that sort of thing you can do. If you really struggle to get 3 notes to sound satisfying, which, let's face it, it is tricky, you could introduce a bend. You could sort of bend the 3rd note. So let's try that. When you limit yourself to a small number of notes, it really does force you to sort of think, how can I make those notes sound interesting? So I put a few pinched harmonics on the last bit, made that give it a bit of sparkle. Now you can sort of keep adding notes to the small group you're using. Another way to get out of playing the traditional which is a great scale pattern, but you know, when your fingers know it so well that you don't even have to think about it, you tend to stop thinking about it, and you tend to stop thinking about how those notes interact with the backing track, you know. So forget that scale pattern for now, and just stick to the one string, and I'm going to stick to the G string again. So I'm going to try and sort of move around in small jumps. I'm not, to start with anyway, and but yeah, what you find is we're working on one string. It gets you away from playing the scale patterns that your fingers are familiar with. So you never know. If you do start jumping around, you might make a mistake. You might hit a bum note. Well, what's the worst that can happen? If you're practicing, if you're not performing it live, then it doesn't really matter, you know. And if you incorporate this into your practice session, then when you do use it live, then you'll probably get it right. That's the that's the thought. So let's carry on, and I'm just going to work my way up and down the string and just see what I can do. You get the idea. So yeah, I mean, I was playing stuff that sounded like I was kind of going across scale patterns on certain bits, you know, because you do get used to the sound, and I was kind of craving it. That's the sound that I wanted to hear, you know. So I was just trying to emulate that, I guess, but I was doing it in a thoughtful way. I was doing it because that's what I wanted to do, rather than that's what my fingers were programmed to do, because my fingers certainly aren't programmed to go up and down one string like that, you know, the same way that they are in when I use scale shapes, you know. So yeah, so I say it's just a bit of food for thought. If you are stuck in a rut, if you do find yourself playing the same kind of thing over and over again and you're sick of it, try that, you know, just try sort of limiting yourself to a small group of notes, or just limit yourself to playing on one string, and you might find that you end up creating stuff, you know, playing stuff that you haven't played before, you know, and you start to listen to it more as well. That's one thing that some guitarists, they know the patterns, so they just sort of play them kind of parrot fashion, you know, and they're not really paying attention to what it sounds like. So that's one way. You know, you sort of think, well, okay, do I want to go higher or lower? So higher that way, lower that way. How big a jump do I want to do? You know, you start to sort of get to know what happens if you jump up 4 frets, 5 frets, 7 frets. You know, that sort of thing. And don't forget, you can use the dot markers on the fretboard. So if you end up playing 3rd fret, that's where the first dot is. That's the same as the 15th fret up here, you know. So you know, that's that sort of thing. So it's yeah, so it's a good way to get you playing stuff in an intelligent way, I guess, so you're trying to think about what sound that you're trying to make rather than just regurgitating stuff that you've programmed your fingers to do kind of automatically. Cool. That's the end of the sermon. I shall leave it there. I hope you found that useful and informative. Give it a bash, and thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.